Hello, we are going to look at the 2003 Form B question 1 here, only because it is from 2003. It would typically be question 2. Let's begin with the prompt. In 1830, John Downe, a weaver, traveled to the United States from England and took a job so that he could earn enough money to enable his wife and children to join him. Read the following letter from Downe to his wife. Then write an essay in which you analyze the rhetorical strategies that Downe uses to convince his wife to immigrate to the United States. Now, if you're watching this video, I have already asked you to scan this so you are aware of the major points, major moves of which Downe attempts in this letter. He appeals to his wife's desire to have bounty. Apparently, they have gone without. He appeals to his wife's need and desire to be socially accepted, and he also offers an apology for being gone so long. So as far as speaker, you've got John Downe. The relationship here is to his wife, the audience. We know it's couched in the 19th century. He is originally from England. He has immigrated to the U.S., so this is a time frame of great influx to America, but also the context is he's been away from his wife, and that creates tension also. So the purpose here is, how does he appeal to his wife to then pack up and move to meet him? So somewhere in your thesis, you would need to have stated that he appeals to or makes the key points of and share 2 or 3 of those. Let's look at the passage now. My dear wife, I have got a situation in a factory in a very pleasant vale about 7 miles from Hudson, and I am to have the whole management of the factory, and the master is going to board me till you come in his house. A farmer took me one day in his wagon into the country from Hudson to see a factory, and I dined with him, and he would not have a farthing, and told me I was welcome to come to his house at any time. They had on the table pudding, pies, and fruits of all kinds that was in season, and preserves, pickles, vegetables, meat, and everything that a person could wish, and the servants sat down at the same table with their masters. I'm going to pause right here. We see this appeal to an abundance. We also see a broad, welcoming spirit from Americans to him. He uses phrasing like pleasant and whole management, and the fact that the farmer would not take anything in exchange. This list, this long catalog of details contributes to this abundant feel. Let's continue. They do not think of locking the doors in the country, and you can gather peaches, apples, and all kinds of fruit by the side of the roads. And I can have a barrel of cider holding 32 gallons for 4 shillings, and they will lend me the barrel till I have emptied it. And I can have 100 pounds of beef for 10 shillings, English money. Lamb is about 5 farthings the pound, and the butcher brings it to your door. And as for the bullocks' heads, sheeps, and lambs, they are thrown away. No one will eat them. You'll notice there is an abundance of and in here, which could be polysyndeton, or you could just say the repetitive nature of and makes this feeling of abundance even more emphasized. He does have some statistical information in here about what things cost, which would appeal to his wife because she is most likely the one going out and purchasing these had they all been together. I went into the market yesterday at New York, and on the outside of the market there was bullocks and sheep and lambs' heads laying underfoot like dog's meat. So you have a little simile here. Some of you really elaborated on that, and it's such a tiny simile that recognizing and maybe nodding to it would be wise, but I wouldn't go beyond 1 sentence discussing that. They cut the tongue and throw the rest away, and I can go into a store and have as much brandy as I like to drink for 3 halfpence, and all other spirits in proportion. If a man like work, he need not want victuals. So victuals here is one of those 19th century terms of food or provisions. And we notice that there are long sentences leading up to this very short sentence. If one will work, one can eat, which seems to punctuate his long list of bounty here. It is a foolish idea that some people have that there is too many people come here. It is quite the reverse. I would address this as a counterclaim, as a concession. He might anticipate what his wife feels or perhaps what he's hearing from other people. Here is his refutation. There was more than 1,000 immigrants came in the day after I landed, and there is 4 ships have arrived since with immigrants, but there is plenty of room yet. I would unpack this as a concession. Now, because we've moved from this idea of abundance as far as provisions to addressing some of his wife's counterclaims, it is at this point right here that I would end that first major move. Let's continue right down here. But there's plenty of room yet and will for 1,000 years to come. So you have this hyperbole, this exaggeration, not really founded in any logic, but he is perhaps trying to assuage his wife's fears. My dear Suki, so you've got dear and dear. I wouldn't make a big deal out of this in analysis, but you can nod to it if you want. All absolute. All that I want now is to see you and the dear children here, and then I shall be happy, and not before. You know very well that I should not have left you behind me. So another concession. We have back-to-back concessions here, or back-to-back counterclaims. If I had money to have took you with me, it was sore against me to do it. He recognizes her feelings and her sadness and perhaps her anger. Maybe anger is a bit excessive, perhaps bitterness. But I do not repent of coming, for you know that there was nothing but poverty before me, and to see you and the dear children want, which means go without, was what I could not bear. So a little refutation here. This is in italics. I would rather cross the Atlantic 10 times than hear my children cry for victuals once. I would speak to this italics and also unpack it as hyperbolic. He wants her to truly hear his heart. Now, my dear, if you can get to the parish to pay for your passage, come directly, for I have not a doubt in my mind I should be able to keep you in credit. You will find a few inconveniences in crossing the Atlantic, another little concession, but it will not be long, and when that is over, all is over, another absolute. For I know that you will like America. This is an imperative statement, I know. And keep in mind the patriarchal expectation and cultural, societal status quo is that the wife completely depended on the husband. And then he moves into this contrast here at the end, this final appeal. So it's at this point that I would say his second major move of addressing her counterclaims ceases. And now we have the third major move, which is his final appeal. He contrasts America to England and appeals to his wife's desire to be socially accepted. America is not like England, for here no man thinks himself your superior. There is no improper or disgusting equality. Nice oxymoron there. For character has its weight and influence, and the man which is really your superior does not plume himself on being so. This means flatter or show off. An American, however low his station, never feels himself abashed, absolute, when entering the presence of the highest. This is a country where a man can stand as a man and where he can enjoy the fruits of his own exertions with rational liberty to its fullest extent. There is much attention paid to dress, as at any of the watering places in England. Out in the country where I have been, you see the young women with their veils and parasols at the lowest that I saw. Poverty is unknown here. You see no beggars, which is probably incorrect, but in contrast to England, much more likely. So this is my last major move, this contrast here. Give all the little ones a kiss for me, etc. Thank you.